What is up, guys? It is Kitsos from Coasterland, and I just wanted to let you guys know, really a special thank you to Hersheypark for allowing me to use their POV videos. Of course, you saw at the beginning of the video, I would have edited in at this point a clip crediting them, but yes, they gave me permission as long as I credited to use their POV videos for this ranking video. And again, special thanks to them. I appreciate it. So, basically what we're doing today, we're going to be ranking the 13 operating roller coasters, all except one of which I've ridden. And we're going to be also throwing in their new for 2020 B&M Hyper as well, where I think it would fit in the lineup based on what we see. So let's just jump into number 14, which is Coco Cruiser. This is their kiddie coaster here at the park. And before we start, let's just make sure I know the manufacturer. Yes, this does happen to me sometimes. I have everything together and then I'm like, oh, might want to know who built their kiddie coaster. I usually know who built everything else, but their kiddie coaster seems to be a consistent problem. So, Coco Cruiser is a Zamperla family gravity coaster with a single helix layout. Fun. Alright, now maybe, with luck, yes, there we go. So, Coco Cruiser, the Zamperla family gravity coaster built in 2014. So, just a standard layout, single helix kiddie coaster. Nothing special about it, just a little fun thing for the kids. And, no airtime, none of that, not really any forces, but, you know, it's a little fun thing for the kids. It does go around twice, I do believe, so, that's good. And also, I have a recommendation for y'all coaster enthusiasts, like me. Subscribe to Park's channels. Sometimes they put out some interesting content. Every once in a while, Park will even put out a teaser for a new attraction. So, just saying, you might want to check those out. So, at number 13, we have Trailblazer, the Aerodynamics custom mine train coaster built in 1974. This Aero mine train, while it is fun, me having ridden it, it is one of the weakest mine trains. It's not particularly rough or anything, it's just kind of, you know, not really the best mine train out there. Don't get me wrong, it fits into the park's lineup well, and it does what it's intended to do. It just has its issues. My biggest issue with it is the mid-course breaker on that block section there. I don't agree with that being there, to be quite honest with you. It just doesn't make sense to me why they would put that there. It kind of slows it down and kind of trims the rest of the ride, which could have been a lot better, in my opinion. But, you know, stuff happens. So, start off with a nice curve to the right. By the way, RCGB doesn't have exact stats on this thing, believe it or not. So you have that helix there, and you're kind of just meandering throughout the area. You go right next door to Stormrunner's launch track, and this is where you hit that dreaded mid-course. Really slows you down. Then you go under the support structure for the same ride, and then you go into this downward helix. Maybe the philosophy with the mid-course was, well, this helix, it's aero track, it's going to get rough. That I can understand, but, like, I mean, I think it would have been a lot more forceful if it had been a little different. And you go through this little tunnel here into the final brakes. So, I mean, nice little ride, it's fun, it's just not really anything particularly special. So at the number 12 spot, we have Wild Mouse. Wild Mouse is the Mach Rides Wild Mouse Compact Mobile model. There are 10 compact mobile Wild Mouse coasters or at least their original kind. There's also Rev 2 operating or built total. So this one does trim. You can see right there it trimmed quite a bit. It's not a bad ride at all, but like, I think untrimmed completely, it could have been pretty crazy for a Wild Mouse. It goes 28 miles an hour with the top a top height of 45.9 feet and a length of 1,213.9 feet. Duration of about 1 minute and 50 seconds. So, you know, these rides, I don't mind wild mice at all, and this, I believe, some people don't believe this, but I firmly believe every park should have either a spinning wild mouse or a standard wild mouse, because it's a good family thrill coaster that everyone can enjoy, and that's why I believe it's good for every park to have it, and Hersheypark is no different. And then there's the trims there, but that's because you're just basically going into a pop into the brake run right there. So, overall, Wild Mouse, not a bad ride at all. I liked it. It's not like my favorite ride in the park or anything, obviously, it being only number 12. But, you know, it's not a bad ride. It was built in 1999, by the way. So, moving on to the number 11 spot, we have Sidewinder, the Vekoma Boomerang Coaster, built in 1991. Now, many Vekoma Boomerangs have been basically moved around the world multiple times, but this is a good old-fashioned original boomerang. Stands, as most boomerangs do, 116.5 feet tall with a speed of 47 miles an hour, over 935 feet of track, 3 inversions forwards, 3 backwards, a cobra roll, a loop, then going backwards, a loop, and then the cobra roll. Pulls 5.2 Gs, you know, it's just standard boomerang. Standard boomerang, though, like, it has the new train, so it's a better ride than it probably was. It's a little shaky, as I remember it, but, I mean, these Vekoma Boomerangs, they may be clone layouts, but they're not bad rides, with the newer trains, because they're intense. I personally don't like them that much, because I actually get a little nauseous from them. So, yeah, so you drop into the cobra roll, followed by the loop, as you'll see in a sec. Right here, there's the loop. And then up the chain into the second half of the ride, which you will take backwards. This was built in 1991, if I didn't mention it already. 2011 is when it got the newer train. And of course you go backwards through the layout, the loop, in which case I would be screaming the word loop because I scream element names during rides when I'm filming. Then go through the cobra roll, in which case I'd be screaming cobra roll. And then you slam into those brakes. And Coaster Papa had input, if in case you didn't hear, he said in which case I'd scream brakes. Let's skip that ad. We don't like ads here on Coasterland until we get monetized, and we'll love them. So at number 10, we have a laugh track. This is the, I do believe, Mauer spinning coaster. Yes, Mauer spinning coaster. It's the only ride at Hersheypark that's currently operating today. I haven't ridden, of course, Candymonium will also be on that list as well. It opened in 2015, and it's 1,400 feet long with 40-mile-an-hour top speed. It's not really a massive ride at all, but it's indoors. From what I understand, it feels a lot longer than it is. So, you know, definitely, yeah. I put it higher than the Wild Mouse and the Boomerang, mainly because of the theming. I really am one who appreciates a good themed attraction. So it's actually well themed, pretty immersive. It's not exactly the biggest thrill ride out there, but it works and fits in the parks lineup pretty well. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this one. Let it finish its course. Maybe. Alright, so moving in deep. Alright guys, there's a minor technical difficulty, so I'm gonna take us back to the beginning of this POV to start us back up. Hopefully the difficulty doesn't happen again, as I'm taking steps to try to prevent it from happening again. So, that being said, we have at number 9, Wildcat, the Great Coasters International wooden coaster built in 1994. So, as you know, every company needs to start somewhere, you know? And, oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys, I meant 1996. So, in 1996, GCI got into the market with this massive 106 foot tall, 85.2 foot drop, 50 mile an hour, 3,183 foot long wooden coaster. Of course, they've since gone to build much more in terms of roller coasters, giving trains as well, and really overall just becoming a giant in the roller coaster industry. Of course, Wildcat, like many, not all, but many GCIs, has a twister layout with lots of lateral G-forces being the main focus. It definitely showed its age when I wrote it, which is why I rank it so low. It was rattly and definitely somewhat uncomfortable. However, the Millennium Flyers did save it from being completely uncomfortable. But I will say, definitely would prefer a smoother ride than this. Of course, it being a train-mounted POV, it would be smoother. However, I do say Hersheypark has done a lot of work to keep it maintained, and it's not easy to maintain any wooden coaster, especially not one of this size, and it is a very large-scale wooden coaster. So, you know, I can understand why it may have been difficult for them to maintain perfectly, because any woody is going to get rough. So, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Hersheypark called up GCI for a retrack at some point soon. So, if it decides to load, because this computer kind of sucks, we will be taking a look at number 8, which is quite possibly one of the weirdest and most interesting names for a roller coaster. Get ready. Come on, computer. Oh, technical difficulties on camera. That's just amazing. There we go. Alright, so Super Duper Looper, the Schwarzkopf custom looping coaster built in 1977. It may only have a 75-foot drop, with a length of 2,614 feet. But when I was a GP and I didn't really appreciate rides the way I should have, I said this was my favorite ride in Hersheypark. Is it the best ride there? I would never have told you that. But it's just so enjoyable. It's intense, but it also has its enjoyable moments. Unlike some of the other large-scale Schwarzkopf looping coasters, this one doesn't use either of their normal track types. It has a variant of their large school looper track type. And by large school, I mean those of Mindbender and Shockwave at over Georgia and over Texas, respectively. This one doesn't have that complete box shape. This one is more of a standalone track, as you can see. It just has the one loop, a 57-foot tall loop, but it does meander a lot, has a nice tunnel, has some decent speed throughout the ride. It's a nice little enjoyable ride. I wouldn't say it's anywhere close to being the most intense Schwarzkopf out there. It's just kind of a nice, enjoyable ride. When I was there, it was definitely rattly a little bit. It was shaky, but it wasn't awful. And I really enjoy this ride. And it's yet another proving point that Hersheypark may not have tons of new roller coasters. They have some. You know, 2012 they got one, 2015, 2008. You got them. 2014. You know, you got them, but you also have some really good classics. You know, the wooden coasters in the park and others. All are true classic rides that definitely serve the park well even to this day. So that was number 8. Let's move on to number 7, which we will do shortly when it just moves on, because I don't want to risk it getting finicky. So, at the number 7 spot, we have Comet. This is, I do believe PTC built this one. Yes, this is a PTC wooden coaster, opening and built in 1946. So these old school PTC woodies are generally not hit or miss depending on your roughness tolerance. But Comet was actually pretty smooth for its age. I really enjoyed it. It definitely isn't rough such as the likes of Swamp Fox here in my hometown of Myrtle Beach. Also a PTC woody. So this is a little different. Instead of having dropped a few airtime hills in the turnaround, this one drops right into the turnaround. It only has a 78-foot drop, 84 feet tall, 50-mile-an-hour top speed. But it does travel 3,360 feet of track. And it has some good airtime, some actually decent laterals on the turnarounds. You don't just take them like really slow or anything. You actually take them at a reasonable speed. Then you have some more airtime throughout the layout, but really, it's a photogenic ride in a way because you have Skyrush interacting with it. It's old, it's classic, it has some decent scenery around it. Of course, Skyrush being over the water partly. It's right next to the water. It is a little odd seeing Skyrush is towering above this little old wooden coaster that's 84 feet tall when Skyrush stands 200 feet tall. It's a little odd seeing it. You're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You know, but, I mean, the ride itself is amazing. It actually has those skid brakes, which is something you don't see as often anymore. Swamp Fox has them as well. And, yeah, this coaster can run 2 trains. Its skid brake run is a little longer than Swamp Fox's, but yeah. So let's just keep it moving on to our number 6 spot, I do believe. Yes, our number 6 spot, which is Great Bear, the B&M invert built in, drumroll, 1998. For me, this is the weakest invert I've ridden. It shouldn't be. It has the speed, it has the intensity, or you would think, but it just... There are some whippy moments, but it was running poorly at the time. I've heard that they did something actually shortly after my visit a few years back that has, it's run a lot smoother recently, and it's done pretty intense. It's still the intensity. I will say this ride is intense. It's thrilling. What took away from me was it was really shaky and inconsistent, but apparently that was a legitimate problem the park worked to fix, so I commend them for that. It may have been new wheels, it may just have been it was running bad the year I rode it. I don't know. But the ride itself, I'm just going to look at the positives. It's intense, it has 4 inversions on it. Good top speed of 58 miles an hour. Has that loop, the Immelman 0G roll, and the corkscrew. Has a weaker finale. You kind of just meander around into the brake run. But overall, I may have my nitpicks with it. But if you look at it and you really think about it, it's not a bad ride at all. And yet and again, another thing that fits into Hersheypark's lineup. And here's what I say. Any B&M invert is 100 times better than an SLC. And they could have gone with an SLC. This cost them $13 million for 2,800 feet of B&M invert track, which tells you how expensive these rides are from B&M. They're not cheap at all. So, breaking the top 5 here, we have Lightning Racer, the GCI racing wooden coaster, built in is it 19 or is it later? Gosh, I lost it again. No, 2000. GCI Woody built in 2000. I don't know the stats by heart. I'm sorry, guys. I'm flawed. I have RCDB up on my phone right now. So they're dueling tracks. They both stand the same height with the same drop, even though the lift hills are a little weird how they do it. They still synchronize. 91.6 feet tall, 90-foot drop, 51 and a tenth miles per hour, 3,393 of what? Of track. I said flight. Wow. I'm such a GP. Yeah, I meant track. Thunder and Lightning are the two track names. It being a dueling coaster. They both ran Millennium Flyers, which are probably one of the best wooden coaster train designs of modern day, though I still prefer the PTCs with buzz bars. Those are actually really nice in my opinion. And also Kumbach does some buzz bar trains as well. But the ride itself has that twister layout. I did notice it does lose some momentum in parts of it, like right around here. You can tell little bit of momentum lost. This does happen sometimes with wooden coasters when you make a longer layout with not a lot of speed to go on. There are times when it's going to lose that intensity a little bit. In fact, any roller coaster has that problem, but Woodies seem to have it more because they do have slightly higher friction on their track, it seems, than Steel, mainly just because of nature design. That being said, this is an amazing ride, and that is why it is in the top 5, in my opinion, of this park. Remember, Candymonium is coming up, but you'll be surprised that it's not number 1. I'm just going to say that. Mainly because I haven't seen it, like an actual POV, just the animated, but still. I wouldn't have put it number 1 anyways, I don't think. Alright, so, moving on to the number 4 spot is Stormrunner, the Intamin Accelerator coaster built in 2004. So after the success of Accelerator, the first Intamin Accelerator, Hersheypark installed Stormrunner, the first accelerator on the East Coast. It features 3 inversions, a Cobra Loop and a Heartline Roll, followed by a Flying Snake Dive. Yes, weird element names, and yes, a weird ride, but it is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the better launch coasters I've ridden. It's an amazing ride. The whole thing is weird. Cobra Loop. It's like a deformed Immelman. You have the Heartline Roll here. That's just a normal Heartline Roll. Then you have this Flying Snake Dive, which what I want to know is why didn't they just classify the entire thing as a Flying Snake Dive? Just one fell swoop. But anyways. And before you know it, it's over. 2,600 feet of track, 150 feet tall, 180-foot drop, 75 miles an hour top speed. The launch is 0 to 72 in 2 seconds. I mean, it's a really good ride. I really enjoy it. I highly recommend it for those thrill seekers who are going to Hersheypark. So next up, at number 3, we have, drumroll, Candymonium, the Bolliger and Mabillard hypercoaster that will open next year. I figured I should put it in because it is a new attraction for the park. Now, why would they put 2 hypercoasters literally next to each other? By the way, they don't have 15 coasters. Sorry, Hersheypark, because Imperla Disco isn't a coaster. Or if you have a Larson Superloop, then that might also be the other reason. But either way, not a coaster. But Candymonium will be 210 feet tall with a speed of 76 miles an hour. Wow, they beat Skyrush by like 6 feet or something. Skyrush being their other hypercoaster, 200 feet tall with a 75 mile an hour top speed. So, people may think it's pointless, but I don't. Skyrush is a much more intense ride, I can already tell you that, than what Candymonium will be. Candymonium will be longer, it will be taller, slightly taller and slightly faster, and it will have more airtime. Skyrush has airtime, but it's ejector air, and it's also intense corners. I mean, it's really just pure intensity. You're going to see, based on this layout right here, you're going to have airtime hills, a nice turnaround, hammerhead turn, just like a B&M Hyper should have. Then you're going to have, you're really just going to have pure airtime, and then some low-to-the-ground turns, which is going to give that a little bit of intensity. I'm not even going to say that this might have anything less than reasonable intensity, but Skyrush is so intense compared to this, I can already tell you, I don't even have to, it hasn't even opened yet. I can tell you that Skyrush will be a more intense ride than this is. So, basically Candymonium is like the, we gave Skyrush for the enthusiasts. It was insanely intense. Let's give a more general. Okay, guys, sorry, another technical issue. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'm clearing space on my computer as we speak to try to fix it, but so I don't know how bad it sounded when I cut the recording, but at number 2 we have Fahrenheit, the Intamin. I do not know what the model is because it's not listed. Roller coaster, 121 feet tall, 58 miles an hour, 6 inversions, all of them double inversions, a Norwegian loop, a cobra roll, and a double corkscrew. This feels like the Intamin Eurofighter. 97 degree beyond vertical drop, vertical lift. It really feels like an Intamin version of a Eurofighter from Gerstlauer. So here, they call this a double corkscrew. It's a lot like the Intamin 10 inversions and 8 inversions double corkscrew. Has a little bit spaced out, but then you go meander around into the final brakes. 2,700 feet on this. Fahrenheit's a good ride. Really enjoyed it. It's intense. It's thrilling. It's everything an Intamin should be, and it does the job well. So let's move on to the top ride, and I don't think this will change for probably a pretty long time. It is, of course, Skyrush. This is the Intamin Wing Coaster, not Wing Rider, but Wing Coaster, built in 2012. This model is pretty insane. It has actually one of the fastest lift hills in the world, a cable lift, really accelerating you. You then reach over that 200-foot height and get ready for a 75-mile-an-hour plunge through 3,600 feet of track. You would think that their hypercoaster would be longer, but that's what makes this ride so intense. Every element is so compact, so intense. You take it at some insane speeds. And the best thing I think with Skyrush is it's actually pretty reliable. When I went, I had heard that when it had reliability issues, it was actually relatively easy to fix. And Intamins have that tendency to be unreliable. But as for the ride itself, awesome ride. Really intense. Good airtime. The POVs don't do it justice. It almost looks like it's running slow. I promise you it's not running slow. It may have been running slow when they took this POV, but a lot of times this ride runs a lot better as it warms up. It does need to warm up. So Skyrush being the number 1, there are currently 13 operating, but soon will be 14 roller coasters at this park. Every single one of them fits perfectly. I really think that this is one of the most balanced parks on the planet. So if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button down below and feel free to subscribe for more content. Also, if you really like these POVs and other parks POVs and you wish to use them, don't just use them, ask. They'll more than likely say yes, and it'll prevent any worry of copyright infringement. Just make sure to credit all those you ask, and of course, beware. Copyright is real. I should know. This is the second channel I've had because of it. So until next time, guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, this is Kids of Coastal Land signing off.